Today on the Big 3 in 30, the Thunder get a win over the Lakers.
This was a fun day of hoops in the 405.
The Cavs escape with a road win over the Nuggets.
The Cavs getting a 119-117 win over the Denver Nuggets on Monday night. I think this is the win of the season.
And the Hornets and Pistons brawl in Charlotte.
That was really the pin that was pulled out of the grenade on this situation.
This is the Big 3 in 30 NBA. The three biggest stories in the NBA from our local experts at the Locked On Podcast Network. We bring you the real story, why it matters, what's next, who wins the big game, and more, all in 30 minutes. The Big 3 in 30 NBA starts now. Thank you for making the Big 3 in 30 your first listen of the day, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Download the FanDuel app now by visiting FanDuel.com and win $300 in bonus bets if your first $5 bet wins. The Thunder beat out the Lakers in the fourth and took a win out of LA last night, and Ryland Stiles recaps that victory on Locked On Thunder.
This was a fun day of hoops in the 405. It started out with a twin bill, right? It started out in the G League, where with the OKC Blue, Nikola Topic and Brooks Barnhizer took the floor with Chris Youngblood to take on the Skyforce from Sioux Falls. They got a thrilling win in overtime from Brooks Barnhizer hitting the game winner with the Elam ending at the end of that contest. But of course, the story is Nikola Topic getting to debut for the Thunder organization as he's made it past his treatments and battle with his testicular cancer. And of course, last year was out with the ACL tear. We'll have more on that coming up, and we'll have more on that on tomorrow's show, because not only was I there, there's a big media turnout. Derek Parker there as well. He'll be joining us tomorrow to talk about that. Today, we're also going to talk about the Thunder taking on the Lakers. No Luka for the Lakers, no Shea for the Thunder. So with two of the brightest stars in the league in street clothes, this was still a very fun game. OKC also had to work through the no AJ Mitchell aspect of things, but it was a back and forth game early. And I thought that both teams were playing with an extremely high level that kind of persisted throughout the 48 minutes. And eventually OKC, of course, got the better of Los Angeles. But the Thunder really took hold of this game in the first half with a 14-0 run sparked by their bench unit, which included 5 quick points from Jared McCain, and OKC grew out that 14-point lead. The Thunder's defense in the first half was swarming, forcing 10 turnovers before intermission. But from, about the 8-minute to go mark in the second quarter through halftime, OKC seemed like this was going to be an impressive win where they kept the Lakers at an arm's distance the entire way for 48 minutes. Look, every win is impressive whenever you don't have SGA on the court against anybody. But on the road in LA, this win still is very impressive, despite the fact that in the third quarter, the Thunder, who had been doing such a great job of hunting mismatches, especially embarrassing Luke Kennard at times on that end of the floor, really had their offense turned upside down and flummoxed by this Lakers team in the third quarter with their zone defense. So it goes from a back and forth, about 4-point game to 14 quickly, then to a 9-point lead at halftime. So still with that control. And then in the third quarter, the Lakers go zone, and this offense from the Thunder fell apart. They could not crack it. They could not knock down looks. The offense dried up like they were in the Sahara Desert. To compound the problem, Oklahoma City stopped forcing turnovers. Their first turnover in the third quarter came with maybe 2 minutes left in the frame? That was not a good defensive outing from them in the third quarter. Their blow-bys at that point of attack were not great. Their paint defense lacked in that third quarter, which I think ultimately leads them to. I think that was a turning point in deciding that the Lakers would get a 2-point advantage when it's all said and done at points in the paint. Credit to LeBron James. He was masterful controlling this game. Yes, we know he's a billion years old. Yes, we know he's still playing at a high level, but he controlled the pace in the third quarter. His playmaking really highlighted that Lakers run to get up by 8 points, and the Thunder left a lot of points and a lot of momentum that could have curbed this run sooner for OKC at the charity stripe tonight. Some costly misses and some big spots for the Thunder. But eventually, toward the end of the third quarter, that's when they righted the ship or got the car back on the road, as you hear the Thunder say all the time. Jay Whale bangs a 3 to ignite a 5-0 run by OKC in that third frame, and they never looked fluid offensively in that quarter. after that 5-0 run or at all, even in the midst of that 5-0 run. But OKC also benefited from a Caruso massive three to head into the third quarter up by 2. And the Lakers had not lost if they were leading in the third quarter this whole season. Still haven't, because they did not lead at the end of the third quarter in this one. So that was a big time three if you believe in the statistics of it all. But I thought that ultimately the Thunder in that third quarter almost cost themselves the game by their defensive approach in that third frame. And that's an area where, hey, credit to OKC for recovering. Credit to them for not letting the game go. But the Lakers made 50% of their shots in that third quarter, scored 33 points in this one compared to OKC's 26 points in that third quarter. They hit 60% of their threes, but really didn't need to take any of them. 5 attempts from beyond the arc compared to OKC's 11, and yet still, with that 5 attempts from beyond the arc compared to OKC's 11, OKC only hit 1 more three than the Lakers in that third quarter, because the Lakers were doing such damage at getting to the paint, at getting to the rim in this one. So I thought that you saw LeBron, of course, come alive. 10 points in the third quarter, 3 assists to go along with what we were talking about just a moment ago. And it didn't feel good for OKC. The crowd came alive, and it felt like the Lakers could really get one. It felt like a game that both teams really needed. You can argue the Lakers more desperately, because at least there is the Shea factor and the J-Dub returning factor of him still being beat up. But look, Austin Reeves was on a minute restriction as well, and early on in this game, he played a lot better than he did in the second half. Like, you look at his first half stint for the Lakers, and Austin Reeves was 5 for 7 and just dancing out there, getting to his spots very comfortably. In the first half, he had 12 points and he had 6 assists to go along with it in just 13 minutes, really 14 minutes of action for Austin Reeves. But the Thunder were able to bottle him up in the third quarter and see him miss some shots in the third quarter that you can argue he should have made. And in the fourth quarter, he only hit 1 bucket, so just 1 bucket for him in the second half. But that first half started strong for Reeves, and you coupled that strong close to get them within single digits with LeBron's third quarter, and you got that mega Thunder run. I mean, that mega Lakers run that got them up by 8 points. And in this game, there were some different moments where you could really see the absence of Shea. When it looked like it was going to tilt toward the purple and gold's direction, the first thing that jumped out was the turnovers. The turnovers were a killer for OKC after, creating the 10 in the first half. And we mentioned how they went through that dry spell of creating them. They themselves in this game had 15 turnovers. And that is abnormal for OKC. And it's only abnormal for OKC because of how much of the on-ball duty that Shea soaks up. And despite the high usage from Shea on the ball, he keeps the turnovers at a minimal, which expands itself to the Thunder's entire team. And they, as a team, do not turn the ball over. So you miss Shea in that capacity. You also miss Shea in the margin of error. Well, we've spent this entire season talking about how the Thunder have such a wide margin for error. It's because of Shea, right? Yes, they did not play good defensively and in the third quarter, and there is no injury excuse for that. While Shea's a good defender, like, the guys on the court are great defenders still, and they should have played better defense in that third quarter. They had a bad quarter, and that's going to happen. But you can relieve some of that by the fact that Shea plays 12 minutes in the third quarter every single game when he's right, and you make a couple more buckets against that Lakers zone in the third quarter, and all of a sudden it feels differently, which I think is a credit to OKC, because for as bad as that third quarter run felt, and as bad as you might be feeling right now hearing it described back to you, at the end of the day, that third quarter run could only get the Lakers up by 8. So the Thunder did a good job of making this game be played in this small deficit, and they did a good job of responding and trading blows with the Lakers in a game that got very physical, in a game that had a playoff level feel to it, from the physicality to the crowd. And you love to see that break out in a regular season affair. And you could tell that both sides wanted this game. But Jay Will again hits a massive 3 to make it an 8-point game with under 3 to go, which arguably could have been the dagger for Jay Will, who's hit 2 big threes. We've already shot it out before we get to the player segment. And the Thunder hold off the Lakers from there with some crucial stops in the final minutes, getting right on the defensive end of the floor. And so I think that the Thunder, who got up by 14 points in this one in the second quarter, they experienced 22 lead changes, 10 ties in this one. OKC won the rebounding battle 58-45, despite the two teams being tied at 15 turnovers in this one. The Thunder lost points in the paint by 2, 50-48, which is abnormal for them, as abnormal as it is to win the rebounding battle for them. The Thunder won second chance points by 10 because Isaiah Hartenstein was so big on the offensive glass. We'll talk about that coming up. The Thunder lost fast break points 12-9. The Thunder shot 48% from the floor, 42% from three, and 72% at the charity stripe. The Lakers shot 50% from the floor, 32% from three, and 69% from the charity stripe. OKC left 8 points on the board at the free throw line. However, the Thunder did make 4 more triples than the Lakers. The Thunder had 14 3-pointers, which goes back to our stat we've talked about with this team. Yes, they're inconsistent. Yes, they're streaky. Yes, they have some 3-point deficiencies, which you would hope is going to be cleared up in the future by the addition of Jared McCain, by the fact that Isaiah Joe had his impressive first half, which we'll talk about. But it is the reality. And with that being said, in games in which they just get even slightly above average 3-point production, which is around 12 for the league average for 3-pointers made, they hit 14 tonight. The offense just looked, outside of the third quarter, so much better than it has in games this year, and it got them a win. They have a great record whenever they take a lead into the fourth quarter. They have a great record whenever they are able to hit above a league average threes. They did both of those things tonight and got this win over the Lakers. At the end of the day, 119-110. They snapped their 2-game losing streak, and we have to be fair. We talked about the injuries that had hit this team, and they had 8 active players in San Antonio, and we talked about how dire the situation was of if they can just get any win, much less any win against anybody not named the Milwaukee Bucks, it would be impressive. Tonight was impressive.
The Winter Games are officially here, and if you're anything like us, you're locking in for events you only get to see on the biggest stage every 4 years. That's why following the Winter Games on FanDuel just makes sense. From medal counts to individual events is finding your angle on the sports you care about the most. FanDuel gives you more ways to stay connected to the action. It's the building drama of curling matches, races defined by inches or fractions of a second. Both popular and niche events become must-watch when you're fully locked into the competition. The Winter Games are on, and there's no better place to follow them with FanDuel. Play your game.
Welcome back to the Big 3 and 30 NBA. The Cavs went into Denver and overcame a triple-double from Nikola Jokic to beat the Nuggets, and Locked On Cavs host Danny Cunningham has more on the win.
The Cavs getting a 119-117 win over the Denver Nuggets on Monday night. I think this is the win of the season. Like, I think that the Cavs have had several nice wins, right? Like, they've won now 33 games on the season. They've won 9 out of 10. They've won 12 out of 15. Like, there's a lot of good things that have happened lately. But as you go through some of their wins, obviously some are more impressive than others. And this is not for me to say that they haven't had several other very good wins, because unquestionably they have. But this, to me, is the most impressive one that they've had for several different reasons. One, the Denver Nuggets are a very, very good basketball team, and Denver has dealt with injuries, no question about it. But the Nuggets have, in my opinion, the best player in the world, Nikola Jokic, on the floor, played 35 minutes or whatever it was in this game. Like, he is just at a different level, I think, than anybody else playing the game of basketball right now. They have Jamal Murray, who's been very, very good this season. Not the best guard in this game, but been very, very good this season. They're playing at home. The Cavs are in the 5th and final game of an 11-day West Coast road trip. Like, I thought for most of this game, and a big part of the reason why I'm so impressed with this win is I thought it would have been really easy for this Cavs team to, at the start of the fourth quarter, let go of the rope. Nobody would have blamed them. I think everybody, if you're watching or listening to this show, if the Cavs would have, when they were down by 11 in the fourth quarter, if they would have just lost this game by like 8 points, I think the feeling probably would have been they played hard. It didn't go their way. They didn't shoot well. The Nuggets got to the free throw line a ton. Like, there could have been things to be upset about, but I think the totality of the road trip still would have been a positive one. But the fact that they just kept at it, they kept hammering away, they kept keeping their head down and pushing forward and trying to find a way to get a win, that to me is what makes this so impressive, because they did it against a team that I think is very capable of winning the NBA championship in June. Like, that is a team, if the Denver Nuggets win the finals in June, I wouldn't be surprised. And the Cavs went into their building while they were exhausted, while they are a new team where they have not had a practice yet with James Harden. and they went in and they found a way to come back from down 11 points in the fourth quarter to get a win. And that to me just really stands out, because this is something that I don't want to say the Cavs were not capable of earlier this season, because we've seen the Cavs in far more often than not, when we would see the Cavs trailing the way they were at the start of this fourth quarter, they would make a comeback and then it's not enough. They couldn't find a way to get over that hump, but they found a way to get over the hump in this game. And doing that against an awesome team in Denver, I look at and just say that is incredibly impressive, especially while, and one of the things I do want to talk about today, like this is game 2 of the Donovan Mitchell, James Harden experience. I think if this is what we're getting in game 2, and I thought both of them were very good in this game, and James Harden came up clutch, the 3-pointer that he hit to tie it with, I think like 35 or 36 seconds left in regulation. He was fouled on the play too. That was not called. I am fascinated to see the last 2-minute report that comes out on Tuesday of this game, because I felt like Zach Zarba and the officiating crew did not have a very good night in Denver. I did not think this was a very well officiated game. I thought that Harden was fouled on that 3-pointer. Nothing was called, but made it, tied the game. Huge shot, huge play from him. I thought in like the scoring in the fourth quarter from Harden wasn't crazy. Like he didn't take over the fourth quarter with scoring the same way that he did against Sacramento. Like he only in the fourth quarter had 6 points. He had 2 threes. Both of them were big shots, but he had 4 assists. He had 4 rebounds, played 10 minutes, was a plus 13 in those 10 minutes. Like he did so many things, I felt like, that impacted winning in the fourth quarter of this basketball game. And with Harden, it's not always going to be scoring. Like I do think that in the 2 games that he's played for the Cavs, he has shown himself. And if you are not familiar with James Harden, like if you are a Cavs fan that maybe you are a Cavs fan that your only experience with watching James Harden has been when James Harden has played the Cavs. And then for the most part, other than that, or maybe watching the playoffs, he could be a guy that's kind of out of sight, out of mind. And there's no shame in that. Like I completely get that type of, viewing experience. But I think in these 2 games, if that is an accurate description of you, I think you have learned what kind of basketball savant this guy is, because it's not just the scoring. It's not just the ability to get to the free throw line. And he didn't get, James Harden took the 4th most free throws in this game. Jonas Valanciunas took 10 free throws in 15 minutes. I think that says a lot about Zach Zarba and the crew that called this game. But it was, to me, watching how he's able to distribute the basketball, how he's able to put guys in the position to be successful. And there's a play, and I quote tweeted it over at my Twitter, Real D Cunningham. And I want to explain it here because it's in the final couple of minutes of the game. And the Cavs James Harden has the ball near half court, and he wants to run pick and roll. And the first thing the Cavs do is they want to get Christian Braun of Denver off of James Harden. So Sam Merrill goes up, sets a screen for Harden, forces a switch. So Christian Braun is off of James Harden. And then he calls up Jared Allen to run a 1-5 pick and roll. Well, Nikola Jokic knows this is coming because he too is a very smart basketball player, you might imagine. And he sends Jamal Murray, who is also in the same corner with Jared Allen, where Jared Allen is in the dunker spot. He sends Jamal Murray up so that basically the Nuggets have 2 smalls defending that pick and roll, and Jokic can then come and help over later. But Harden sees this. And then because of that, Harden doesn't really run that pick and roll. He throws the ball to Donovan Mitchell on the left wing. Allen still rolls to the rim. Jamal Murray is ball watching. He sees the pass go to Donovan Mitchell, and he sort of relaxes a little bit and forgets that he's supposed to be defending Jared Allen. Mitchell sees a wide open Allen in the paint, and Allen is able to then spin around Christian Braun and lay the ball in for 2 points to cut the deficit to 1. And it's like those type of plays where you can see that he is seeing this game a step or 2 ahead. Like it is the basketball IQ of James Harden. And I do think there are a lot of high IQ basketball players on this Cavs team. Like Donovan Mitchell has an incredibly high basketball IQ. I think Evan Mobley has an incredibly high basketball IQ. But the fact that Harden's basketball IQ is as high as it is, I think has made this so it's an easier transition. Because I do think as we watch this, and James has played with a lot of high IQ players throughout his career. There's no doubt about that. Like Kyrie Irving, Kevin Durant, Chris Paul, Kawhi Leonard. Like most of the great players in the NBA are high IQ guys. But I think that is something, and that play is just one example of it. But that is something that I think makes this transition easier for the Cavs. I think it makes it easier for everybody involved. And yeah, James is going to hit shots some nights, and some nights he might not have the best shooting night, but he's still, I think, on this team, especially with the way that the group is built, I think on a very regular basis, even on nights where he doesn't have it going scoring, and like he scored 22 points in this game. That's fine. That's all the Cavs. They don't need much more than that from James Harden. There are going to be nights where he has 35. There are probably going to be nights where he has 15. But I think on every night, there are going to be ways where he can impact winning. And like one of the other things too, in this game, and they took one away, he originally had 4 blocks in this game. James Harden finished with 3 blocks on the night. Like, I know that he's not the best defender, and I know that there are times where he's not a very good off-ball defender, but he did a lot of really good things. Like defensively, the final or second to last possession that Denver had, where he comes over and shows a late double to Nikola Jokic, and Jokic ends up turning the ball over, who, by the way, had 7 turnovers in this game. And I thought Jared Allen did a very good job defending Nikola Jokic in this game. But like, that is a very high IQ basketball play. That is a good defensive play from him, even if it's not something that you're like, oh man, all defense type of guy. So I thought James Harden was very good in this game. I thought Donovan Mitchell was really good in this game, because in the first half, and I think that this game can sort of be looked at as a sense of the moment type thing for Donovan Mitchell, because the Cavs were exhausted. Like, part of the reason why this is such a impressive win for the Cavs, the free throw disparity, which to me, was it a greatly officiated game? No, but the Cavs, I also thought, were at times a step slow. And when you are a step slow at times, you're going to foul more because you're going to be reaching more, right? Like, that's part of it. So with that, I thought, okay, they're, a step slow. They're losing the 50-50 battles to the Nuggets in a lot of different instances. And this, to be clear, was not like, Denver just wants this more. That's not what it was. It was the Cavs looked exhausted. And I think Donovan could sense that. And that's why the first half that he had, in which he was awesome, I think he had 18 points, probably could have had 25 with some of the looks that he missed. But he goes out and he's able to keep the Cavs within shouting distance. And I thought that was a really important thing, because again, if the Cavs would have lost this game because of all the things that went wrong, I don't think anyone would have blamed them, right? Like, because it was not an effort thing. It was just don't know how much gas is in the tank. But for Donovan in the first half to go out there and have 18 points when the Cavs sorely needed it, like, he was, to me, without question, the best player on the floor in the first half of this game. He was. And I thought that was really, really important. And in the third quarter too, to just like keep the Cavs close. He had 10 points in the third quarter when the Cavs really needed it, partially because they were not shooting the ball well from beyond the arc. The Cavs as a whole, they were 15 of 45. That's 33%. Like, they did not do a great job making shots. They're going to have, and I thought that was, again, a sign of tired legs at the end of the road trip. So there were a lot of things that I thought the Cavs overcame to win this game. And I think that should be looked at as a really big step in the right direction, because not only does it show that even on their off nights where this was not some greatly, like, they didn't play awesome, right? They did not play a great game against Denver, but they found a way to win. So even on their off nights, they are showing that they're capable of beating very good teams, because that is exactly what Denver is. Denver is a great basketball team. And I get it. They're not at full strength, but the Cavs don't have Evan Mobley. Like, I know that Denver is without Aaron Gordon. They're without Peyton Watson, but Evan Mobley is the best player that did not play in this game between these two teams. And I think that is something that matters greatly when you talk about it. But the Cavs finding a way to beat a really, really good team when they don't have their best stuff is not something that was possible earlier this season. I think that this is an example of showing that the floor for this team is higher than it was before. But it's also a mental toughness example. Like, it would have, as I mentioned, it would have been easy for the Cavs to fold. It would have been. Nobody would have batted an eye. We all would have said 3-2 on that West Coast road trip while the team's totally remade. James Harden had no practice time. 3-2, very acceptable outcome for that 5-game trip. Instead, they go 4-1. And it's hard for me to look at that and say this was anything other than an incredible success. And the other thing that happened while the Cavs were out west is I think their mindset has shifted. I think that this is a team that now believes in itself in a way that I'm not sure it believed in itself when the plane originally took off for Phoenix a couple of weeks ago.
The Winter Games are officially here, and if you're anything like us, you're locking in for events you only get to see on the biggest stage every 4 years. That's why following the Winter Games on FanDuel just makes sense. From medal counts to individual events is finding your angle on the sports you care about the most. FanDuel gives you more ways to stay connected to the action. It's the building drama of curling matches, races defined by inches or fractions of a second. Both popular and niche events become must-watch when you're fully locked into the competition. The Winter Games are on, and there's no better place to follow them with FanDuel. Play your game.
Welcome back to the Big 3 and 30 NBA. The Pistons beat the Hornets on the road last night, but the result is not the story of the game. A third-quarter brawl left 4 players ejected and lots of suspensions coming for sure. Walker Mell and Doug Branson break everything down on Locked On Hornets.
The Hornets, they lose to the Pistons 110-104, but it's not even really about that. All right, I've got all my notes, pages upon pages.
What?
There's a lot to write about. I got them all here.
I was ready to talk about pick and rolls. I was ready to talk about, the ice. Come on, icing the screen. Come on.
You want to talk about ice?
No, I don't want to talk about ice. I said icing the screen. I said icing the screen.
Okay. Let's not talk about that. Let's instead talk about what in the hell happened in the third quarter, okay? Because I'm going to try to get this correct as correct as possible. So, in the third quarter, Hornets and the Pistons, they're going back and forth. And Hornets are down. Jalen Duren going pretty crazy in the third quarter. Really just an awesome presence in the paint. It's one of the few times that I think we've seen Musa and his effort and his strength neutralized. I don't think that there are very many players that can do that in the NBA. Jalen Duren is one of them. And it's not even like Musa can get leverage on him as much as some of the other trees because Jalen isn't all that tall, right? Like this was a hell of a match between the two. And I joked about it, Doug. I talked about the over-under on Jalen, Musa, and Beef Stew scuffles. It needs to be set about 2.5 for this game. But there was going to be something that happened. Joked about it, not even really joking about it. So all of it comes to a head in the third quarter because Musa Diabate fouls Jalen Duren in the post.
It wasn't like a crazy foul. Like it wasn't even a hard foul. It was just a foul.
Just a battle between those two. I mean, Musa is being real physical with Jalen Duren, and it's all just it's a battle down low. That's what it is. Musa fouls Duren. Duren doesn't love it. Both guys headbutt one another. Mm-hmm. After the headbutt, Jalen Duren decides to push Musa's face away from his face.
His entire face. His entire face.
And that was really the pin that was pulled out of the grenade on this situation. It was Duren deciding to push Musa's entire face. Speaking of not loving it, Musa didn't love that. So he goes after Jalen Duren once, and they separate the two because Duren is backing up really the entire time that this brawl is happening. Musa, after being separated from Duren the first time, he recharges. And as Jalen is backing up, not only do you have Musa who recharges and then is corralled again, Miles Bridges decides that he's going to make a run at Jalen Duren, who's pretty far away from him. As soon as Miles decides to go after Jalen Duren, here comes Beef Stew. Oh, boy.
Is that Beef Stew's music?
It's too late. Here comes the crock pot, ready to mix it up. The two get into it there, and boy, that was a real fight that almost went to the ground. Miles tried to pick him up. I'll be honest, a lot of it I couldn't see. Just for people that are watching us on YouTube and that are listening to this, we are recording this. It is 11:09 Eastern, 10:09 Central for Doug in Nashville. So I literally got straight to the crib and opened up the computer, turned on the lights, the neon sign, and hopped on while simultaneously taking in some of the video, some of the information that continues to come in. And this is everything that I saw from my angle, just because people know that I broadcast for FanDuel Sports Network. I'm on the games. Where I sit for some of this stuff, it's easy to see where I sit next to Dell and Eric on the call. But then at the end of these situations, there's a lot that I miss with their commentary, with good views, because there are a bunch of people standing up right in front of me. But this was as wild a game as I've ever been to, especially with the crowd behind it. It was hardcore playoff atmosphere. You heard the national audience talking about it. After what happened, Hornets fans were ready to go. They were ready to fight too. My blood was going nuts. My heart was going crazy. This was a wild game, Doug, and me being there, I've never felt the Spectrum Center like that before. Given the circumstances, I've never heard it like that before. And I have to imagine you felt a lot of the same things with all that noise coming through your television screen.
I did, and I know you just landed and you're catching up on everything, and you were hard at work there at the Spectrum Center. So I'm going to, and I don't think we're going to get in trouble for this. We can't show the video of the whole fight. There's all kinds of rights issues, but I just need to show you the only video that you need to see from this, and it's this tweet from Sarah here that says, "The Hornets mascot wandering through the fight scene is sending me." And it's just Hugo walking through while someone is trying to restrain Moussa Diabate in one of the expensive seats near the baseline.
Yeah, they're chilling in the squad. Like the fans are over there where they're trying to calm down Moussa, who they're having a hell of a time trying to calm him down. It won't happen.
Well, and Con Knippel had probably the funniest remark of the post game when he said that he was trying to go over there to calm Moussa down because he knew that Moussa would not hurt him. And that begs a lot of questions, like who would Moussa hurt? And I think it might, in that moment of rage, it might have included some of his teammates, just not Con Knippel. You can't hurt Con.
It felt like he was dealing with an animal that he's gained the trust of over years and years of handling and working with. This is an actual moose that he has gained the trust of that some of his other teammates may not have because they haven't put the time in, like Con Knippel. Hilarious comment. Lots of comedy within all of it. Don't know how much we'll get to, but there's a lot of comedy.
Yeah, look, I mean, there's a spectrum of NBA scuffles that range from Malice at the Palace to your standard fake fight that everyone sort of agrees upon, like hockey, where they actually do hit. But in hockey, they still agree on things you can do. It's unwritten and some of it's written. And there's things you can do and you can't do. And then there are punishments within the game. NBA, a little bit similar. There are fake fight rules that everybody kind of abides by so that they don't get suspended. And the most unbelievable part of this for me is Moussa's inability to be restrained. That's going to be the interesting thing is there's his initial reaction to being hit in the face, which I think is a natural reaction to one's entire face being pushed, going after the guy like that.
Yes.
Had it stopped there, I think we're still in the territory of maybe only Duren getting punished. But it's like once he was restrained and then he got away from the people, the security team, the people that were trying to restrain him, and then went after Duren again. That's when we went into some deeper territory. And then once it started getting near the fans, that's when I was like, oh, holy bleep. Are we about to, I've called it the brawl at the box, jokingly. But for a minute there, I was like, oh man, are we about to do Malice at the Palace again? Are we about to see 40-game suspensions or rest of season suspensions as this thing starts to spill over? Because then all it takes is some fan thinking, and courtside fans love to think they're part of the game. All it takes is one fan thinking, oh, I'm going to go in and defend Moussa from Duren. And then it's like all hell breaks loose. Thankfully, it didn't get to that point. But just it makes me wonder when it comes to Moussa. I mean, this whole team has been playing red hot, emotions on their sleeve, feeling like they have something to prove for 9 straight games. And Moussa in particular has taken a lot of contact, and he wants it. He wants the contact. He welcomes the contact. But he's taken a lot of contact, and he's fought tooth and nail every single game. And you just wonder if this was coming. And Duran provided it, but if it was coming eventually because, Moose has just been taking on so much and he obviously like reacted very like strongly in a way that I'm like, the moment that sits in my head is him being ushered out of the arena in the tunnel. The cameras catch this moment where he's emotional. He's not mad. He's like emotional as 4 security members have him in a death grip, trying to remove him from the situation. Like it was wild.
Yeah, he went to an emotional place where he could not be calmed down for quite some time. And the Mike Tyson comment comes to mind. Everybody has a plan until you get hit in the mouth. Moussa Diabate lost all semblance of whatever plan was supposed to happen after that foul back and forth between those two. Lost any semblance of a plan as soon as it took place because he wasn't here for it. Moussa going after him, you're right. There was the recharge, and that's going to be something that I have to imagine the NBA is paying attention to. The fact that you re-escalate it, right? It's all starting to calm down just a little bit. Moussa being restrained, Hornets staffers and team members, they're holding him back. Moussa fights through it because his want-to, quite frankly, was 10,000 times more than the want-to of the staff holding him back. They didn't realize it. They didn't know, this is quite literally like holding on to a bull moose wanting to fight and destroy Jalen Duran. And how could you? I'm not saying it's any of their faults. How could you know that Moussa immediately went to that place? But he did. And after, everybody started to understand, okay, this is wild. This is something that we need to take care of right here, right now. Khan coming over there, LaMelo going over there. I thought LaMelo was kind of interesting if we want to focus on him after like the first A through H points that need to be discussed here. Like everybody tries to go calm Moussa down and, he's rocking back and forth. Like he basically needs a straitjacket. Finally,
he's in a fugue state. He's in a fugue state. I mean, he was in a complete fugue state.
Right. So then he's corralled, and then you can see him. I did see this clip on my little monitor. I could see him saying, "I'm okay, I'm calm," or whatever the word was. It was something to the tune of, I'm fine, as nobody believes him, nor should they. The whole time he's saying that, there are still 4 security members holding him back and taking him to the locker room. And last thing, because you brought up the fans, Doug, you're so right when you were just wondering what's next. I don't know how many people were asking that question watching this sequence of events, but I know I was. I was asking what's next about every second that passed by. What's going to happen next? What's going to happen next? What's going to happen next? And what I was worried about was that the fans were going to get involved. And I don't know if I should commend the fans for behaving the way that they did, but it certainly feels like I should, Doug. If I'm just going to give you my emotion and the feelings that I have, I think that's how you embrace a playoff atmosphere. You embrace your team during a brawl. You have Jalen Duran holding the front of his jersey to Hornets fans as he's walking out of the tunnel, just egging it on, right? It's like, oh my God. It's like you just know the drink is going to fly slow motion in the Malice at the Palace documentary style. I know I'm going to see it fly across my little monitor. I just know it's going to happen. I know somebody's going to feel like they can take Jalen Duran on and they're going to go right in his face. And I don't want this to be crazy. I don't want to escalate it more than I have to. I don't want to hyperbolize anything. I'm asking what's next, because there's Duran holding the front of his jersey up like I'm ready. This is me. And Beef Stew clearly has demonstrated he is not one that is afraid of the smoke. He wants it. He runs to it. He is drawn to it like a magnet. So with all of that happening, with Detroit having that reputation, I thought the drink is going to fly. The pizza box is about to be thrown like a Frisbee. And it never was. And instead, the Hornets fan base fueled that into something that I think uplifted Charlotte in the latter half of the third and really specifically the fourth. So I actually really do commend the Hornets fan base / tip the cap to them for the way that they handled all of it, because it felt like it could have gotten ugly.
No, the cable box was rocking in all of the best ways. And, there's a lot more to talk about with this fight. I think, look, I'm never going to be pro fist fight, but emotions are, but emotions were like supercharged in this one. And I think the officials that ejected the players had as much to do with that as anything. We can talk about that some more. But, what Musa and really everybody has to learn from this situation is like, you have to understand where the line is and try because once you cross the line, as we've discussed in this segment, anything can happen. And so thankfully it didn't escalate. I think this is going to be multi-game suspensions for everyone involved.
Totally agree.
But I don't think it's going to be Malice at the Palace level, 30-game suspensions or anything like that. But it could have been. It could have been.
That's all for today's Big 3 in 30 NBA. If you follow football or college sports, the Big 3 in 30 has shows for the biggest news in the NFL and on campus going up every weekday just like this one. Just search the Big 3 in 30 NFL or the Big 3 in 30 College wherever you're listening or watching right now. Thanks again for tuning in to the Big 3 in 30 NBA.